let's take a sponsored look at BurnX. And welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. Hit the subscribe button and smash the bell icon so you're notified when new media comes out. You're the reason I make this media. Just as a reminder, nothing that follows is intended as legal, financial, or business advice. I know it's a very early disclaimer, but here's the thing. It is a sponsored review. The BurnX team has asked me to take a look at some of the basics of their project and just introduce you to what it is that they're doing. Let me jump out of the way and show you. This is BurnX.finance. You can find all the information, everything that I'm looking at right here on your own by going to BurnX.finance with a link down in the description of this video. Now, their whole thing is, instead of calling it DeFi, they call it ShareFi. They call it ShareFi on fire. What does that mean? It means that there is a significant amount of burning. There's a significant amount of liquidity provision. There's a significant amount of value creation inside of the fundamental smart contract that is supposed to help the token maintain value over time. And it's supposed to specifically, instead of encouraging hodling or staking, it's supposed to encourage charity. Kind of an interesting thing. So that's their whole thing. They say it's a community-centric powerhouse of hot mechanics that funds good causes, rewards holders, yes, says that happens too, but supports a healthy price floor, blazing a path to financial freedom, truly. But again, yes, it does reward holding, but they do encourage charity and they assist as a group in charity. That's the whole point. Anyway, but they've got an audit by Hacken, and that's on its way to be published. We don't have access to that right now. It's apparently already listed on CoinGecko, so we're going to pop that open off to the side and take a look at it in just a second. They will be getting a listing on CoinMarketCap updated because they've gone to their 2.0. They had an initial launch, and they've reissued the smart contract, which is why they asked me to just increase awareness about the project. That's why we're here talking about it. And then it's available right now on Uniswap with all of the pairs that Uniswap offers. And yes, that's even with the infamous delistings on Uniswap. Yes, BurnX and many, many other tokens are still available on Uniswap, so you can find it there. We'll have a link to that as well, or of course you can find the links here on the website. But they talk about having good causes, right? One of their core values and utilities is the funding of recurring donations to good causes, helping people that they think need it most. Charities are community selected, so if you hold the token, you get a say in what kinds of charities are given to, with each donation being a collaborative event in itself. Real recognizes real. So this is kind of one of the nice things about DeFi and about cryptocurrencies and using blockchain technology for charity specifically, is that there's so much more transparency about where things go, who gets what, and whose pockets are being lined by your charitable contributions. Certainly at some point in the future, when you're checking out the full transaction history of your Ethereum wallets and trying to make sense of it for tax purposes, I think, and for my part, I'd like to know exactly where all those things are going and know that any charitable contributions that I've given towards, that it didn't just go and line the pockets of, say, somebody who was already a popular politician or public figure who just started their own foundation in their name to get a tax break and make themselves even more wealthy. I'd love to know that it actually goes to the people who they claim to help. And that is apparently what BurnX is trying to do. That's what they say is their core values. Holder rewards. They say rather than expending time, energy, and fees to stake, just kick back, relax, chillax, and enjoy some warm, prosperous glow. Like you see in this stock photo here. They say investors passively earn rewards by simply holding, watching their BurnX balance increase indefinitely in their wallets. And we're going to talk about the coin supply in just a minute, the tokenomics in just a second here. They say it's deflationary. Without burn, there can be no fire. In true decentralized form, BurnX constantly combusts to benefit investors. For each trade, a percentage of the circulating supply is irreparably destroyed or burned, thereby increasing scarcity. That's right. It doesn't just go back into a pool that the owners control for their marketing budget or whatever else. It's not something that is then applied back to governance. It's actually thrown out into addresses that nobody has the private keys to. At least that's what the team says right now. Again, haven't looked at any kind of a smart contract audit, so I don't know off the bat if within the smart contract there is a remote mint and burn feature, which is always a possibility. But that's what they're saying here, is that the point is that For each trade, a percentage of the circulating supply is burned, so it increases the scarcity. They say auto liquidity. Each trade also contributes towards the automatic injection of liquidity, helping to support a more stable price floor. The greater the liquidity, the stronger the foundation, the more constant the returns, so fire it up. And then community, they say from day one, the ever-expanding, friendly, and helpful BurnX community has remained a strong pillar of support. Be it spreading the word, assisting new members, suggesting improvements, the community keeps the home fires burning. And then NFTs. This is kind of a cool thing that new projects, at least in the Ethereum and the DeFi space, I think all should be looking at, is rewarding communities with what should be high value over the long term, non-fungible tokens, rewarding loyalty with something that is digitally, cryptographically, mathematically, provably scarce and unique. You figure if you've been loyal for a given amount of time, the blockchain will report that back to a smart contract. There's no reason you can't be rewarded. And they're saying here, as project milestones are met, unique and collectible NFTs will be airdropped to BurnX holders. These NFTs will be themed upon BurnX utility, of course, its goals and achievements, the community, and crazy crypto itself. Now, that just makes sense to me, of course. If they have an NFT they're going to airdrop, it's not going to be some, Banksy ripoff or yet another variation of CryptoPunks or of Gorillas or whatever else is, whatever's popular in the NFT space at the time. They're going to do something that kind of more serves their marketing needs, but also makes it unique and an emblem of your participation in their community. Again, makes sense to me. Roadmap, and this is where it gets kind of interesting. We're right here in the phase 1. So in progress is the launch. They wanted over 1,000 Telegram members. They got it. Over 1,000 holders. They've done it. Upgrade the mechanics of the thing. There, it's finished. Upgrade the tokenomics. Boom. Launch the new BurnX 2.0. It looks like BurnX 20 based on how it's notated there. It's really BurnX 2.0, and we're going to show that over on CoinGecko as well as Dex Tools and Uniswap. It looks like BurnX 20. It stands for BurnX 2.0. Updating the CoinGecko listing, done. They're almost there with market cap as well. Strategic marketing partnerships. Well, guys, I mean, I'm talking about it right now so that people can get a little bit more familiar with, I'm not going to take it personally. They do need to expand a lot more than just one guy talking about it on YouTube. And then their first charitable donation, and I tweeted about that on Twitter. You'll see a link to that down in the description of this video, as well as a link to the Etherscan transaction so you can do the blockchain analytics and take a look. Did they really actually give a charitable donation? And the answer is yes. And the blockchain recorded it. And so it's provable. That's proof. It's not just them saying it. Phase 2 is going to be growth, publishing the white paper. And that's where for me, things are a bit murky, guys. I like to have a little bit more to go on. I like to know that there's something a little more substantial, and I'd love to see that white paper just as soon as it's available. All I've got is this so far. So I appreciate the team trusting me to just take a look at this. But for my part, I'm not going to be very, very comfortable till I see a white paper and then have it compared against a smart contract, right? Code isn't law, code is speech, but so is a white paper. And if the story stays straight between those two, what you outline in the white paper is reflected in the smart contract, then that for me gives me a lot more confidence. So we have yet to see that, but that's being worked on right now. A security audit is being worked on right now. The website FAQ is being not yet worked on. I think they want to fully codify, fully lock down what the white paper is going to entail before they do that. And that makes sense to me. Same with having a security audit done before the FAQ. If I were managing a project like this, I'd want that done as well. More charitable donations, 5x on the Telegram members and the holders, more marketing. And then they also, during that phase of growth, they want to push beyond 5x to 10x on the Telegram members and holders. They have an expansion phase scheduled for beyond that, where charitable donations and contributions are paired with staged events, meaning that they actually do something very visible and very, very high profile. Makes sense if that's one of the tenets of the culture and one of the roadmap items. You want to make it as visible as possible. That's great marketing. And then, of course, marketing, big time. They want a 25x, the Telegram members and holders. They want an ambassador outreach program. Want to develop the NFTs and the distribution system for those NFTs, and then investigate centralized exchange listings, not just DEX and AMM listings like on Uniswap. This tends to be an extremely popular move, and it tends to be where there's a lot more traction and positive price action for tokens that do succeed after their first initial launch and their first initial pump and first initial bit of volatility in the market. And then phase 4, this is what they've got roadmapped so far, is utility, where they have additional marketing partnerships. The NFTs are designed and they've figured out distribution. They're almost definitely there. Charitable donations and staged events, of course, are now the norm after stage 3. And then they've 50x'd the Telegram members and holders. Plus, they've got an additional ambassador outreach program, meaning that people who are not, strictly speaking, in cryptocurrency are now ambassadors for the token. It's a lofty goal, but it makes sense. And that's the sort of thing that has to happen organically. They also want to, at that point, later on in that phase, 100x or 100x the number of holders. Let's look at some of the mechanics, at least as outlined here on the page. And they say when buying or selling BurnX 2.0, a 10% tax is applied per transaction. Of that tax, 2% is added to the ecosystem wallet, covering charitable donations and marketing costs on a variable 50-50 split basis, dependent on current project requirements. Meaning that of the 2% that is held in the ecosystem wallet, there could be about upwards of 50% of it that is used for marketing and for running the ecosystem, and then there could be upwards of 100% used on marketing, but it can be all the way in the other direction. But approximately 50-50 at the end of every given quarter or given period should sort of pan out to be 50-50 between those two. 4% is distributed to holders, so it pays to hold. That's how it becomes deflationary, and then becomes more valuable for you. And then 4% is added to liquidity, then burned, a deflationary fire. Allocations, where applicable, token allocations are securely locked as a matter of best practice to protect investors. The total supply, and this is where a lot of people get hung up when they see a big number here, and I want to go over this really fast. I've gone over this before, and especially in looking at other projects where there's a higher number than what we see in Bitcoin, right? Especially when we're used to Bitcoin, we think, well, 21 million is a pretty good number. I'm comfortable with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. They say 1 quadrillion is the total supply. The circulating supply right now is 51% of that 1 quadrillion. So far, there's 29% burned, 10% is in reserve, and the team has 10%, so they can operate and use those funds for whatever the project needs to survive. That's a big deal, right? Especially in the midst of a bull run, when we expect that at some point in the future, we don't know when, that all of the entire market cap will correct, so to speak, seek a bottom support, right? A bottom support level that becomes the new normal in bear market conditions when there's a little less interest on cryptocurrencies. It is important for projects to survive. So I've become less of a stickler in saying like, no, it's community managed only, and it's only by contributions and donations. It makes sense to me that a project is just making sure they can pay their own bills and pay their own people so that they don't disappear. Public donations. This right here is the ERC20 public donation address. And you see right there, there's a QR code that's totally active. You can check that out over on Etherscan. The address is written all the way out right there. They accept any ERC20 token. They prefer, of course, ETH or Tether or the BurnX token itself. That would help with the economics, right? The tokenomics of the BurnX 2.0 token. So obviously they're interested in that. Tether, of course, has a fixed value, so you know precisely what you've donated. Again, for tax purposes, that's very helpful for you. But Ethereum, of course, as well. You know what its value was at the time of donation. That's their burn address. Then they say ready to ignite. You can buy burn or you can look at the live charts. Let's briefly look at both, because this wouldn't be a proper deep dive unless we looked at everything that was available right now. So looking at right now the live chart on Dex Tools, it's we got to zoom out just a little bit. We're on the 15-minute chart here, so I'm going to go first off to 2 hours. I don't like looking at 15-minute charts. I much prefer 2-hour charts, zooming out just a little bit. And we can see right here, just over the last 7 days, that there's been a significant amount of positive price action since they went live a while back, and with the 2.0 version of the smart contract. If we can, I don't think we can very easily. There we go. Here we go. We can see a little bit farther back, right? There's the change. There tends to be a massive, massive shift after a new listing, and it hasn't quite been that long. Let's see. Right now, I was contacted by their team a little over 2 weeks ago, and so they contacted me at about this time to start talking about it, to bring this conversation to your attention. Now, here's the thing. We see right now very negative price action. More recently, right, when we zoom a little closer in, there's some recovery, but prior to that, it's been pretty intense. Very intense sell wall right here as price ran up. So some people pushing a lot of coins out. And here's the thing, with that 10% burn on, or that 10% fee on every single transaction, of course, when there are massive shifts like that, or people who are interested in trying to throw a giant sell wall or a giant buy wall at a token like this, when it's very, very young, you're going to see really strong moves. They look almost like flash crashes or like flash spikes, right? But it's not quite the same thing. This is part of the tokenomics of a project like this, but it's the tokenomics that are applied in a nasty way, right? Kind of a two-edged sword. So there's definitely been some very negative price action since launch. It's found some stability, right? It found some bottom support when you zoom way out here at this level, and then it found support again. And after finding that basement bottom support, I'm going to keep the target, the crosshairs right there so we can see. You notice it has started to recover. Right? It's done more than 2x from where it was. So there's a bit of recovery there, but you can take a look at those charts entirely on your own at dextools.io. I've got the link down in the description for you to do your due diligence. But here's the thing. We're finally at the point where any kind of pre-allocation that was offered to any influencers who talked about this project in the past, which, by the way, I didn't receive any of these tokens. So that's worth noting there. I don't hold any of these at all. I was asked to do this review and I was sponsored to do so, but not by being paid the BurnX 2.0 token. So I do not have skin in this game. You need to be aware of that. I have to disclose that. But also, this is that point at which you'll hear some of my favorite YouTubers like Crypto India. She'll talk about this as well. This is the point at which when you finally found bottom support, now you're starting to see organic price discovery of what a token can really do by way of price. Like it's no longer a mystery. Will it go down? Well, yes, of course. The moment it's listed publicly, most tokens like this do experience a bit of a nosedive for a while. And it can be upwards of a month or even 2 months while the team is building and focusing on centralized exchange listings and also doing some of the marketing pushes like what they talked about in the roadmap. This is not uncommon, but we're finally at that point where it's starting to look a little bit interesting, in my opinion. Again, take that with a grain of salt, not financial advice. But now we're starting to see what the price discovery is. So if there was ever an opportunity to actually get back in and make sense of this as an acquisition, I think you actually have some entry points here that almost make sense for this token. Again, without telling you what to do, it's finally kind of all the energy is out of that downward move, it looks like, and it's beginning to recover. So that's what it looks like on dextools.io. Take that for what you will. Do your own research, guys. Apply your own strategies there in terms of the chart right there. Figure out what you need to see and then dig for it, look for it. But here we are on Uniswap as well. USDC value right now, if you take just $1 single, it is currently worth 206 million BurnX 2.0 tokens. That is about as good a deal, I think, as you are going to get. That may even be a slightly better deal than what was gotten by the initial pre-allocation because of the reissuance of the smart contract. So this is one of those things where if you're into pre-sales, but you are also into speculating on gems, maybe this makes sense. Maybe this fits the description, but it's up to you. Do your own research there. That's the current price as of time of recording on Uniswap. Let's jump right back to that number, though. People do get hung up on numbers like 1 quadrillion, but let's put that into context really, really fast. 1 quadrillion coins. What else has that high number of coins? You know what does? Bitcoin. Bitcoin has 2.1 quadrillion Satoshis. And in fact, those Satoshis are going to need to be broken down even further by the Lightning Network if they're ever intended to replace the global monetary supply. So when people say like 1 quadrillion or 2 quadrillion, they talk about the quadrillions in cryptocurrencies. This is a number of tokens that can be accounted for, can be tracked, and that must be tracked if we're going to have a global decentralized financial economy based on blockchain and based on cryptocurrencies. Guys, thank you so much for watching this long and in-depth review of the BurnX 2.0 project. Definitely appreciate you being here, being supportive, hitting that thumbs up button, sharing this video out to people who might be interested in this project, and of course being subscribed, clicking the bell icon so you know when new media like this comes out. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face. Remember to stay private and mind your biz. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end of the video. If you want to be notified of videos like this in the future, first off, click subscribe, press the bell icon. Additionally, you can sign up for the Mind Your Biz email newsletter. That'll give you exclusive access to certain freebies, notifications for deals within the cryptocurrency mining space, as well as some of our flash sales for merchandise, which you can buy with cryptocurrency. That's right. It's the only cryptocurrency merch that you can buy with cryptocurrency. we practice what we preach. As always, thank you so much for watching. You're the reason I make this media. I love your face, and I will see you in the next one.